Have you said yes to like a speaking opportunity or podcast episode or like podcast that was just like immediately you were like, why did I say yes to this?
I haven't with a podcast, but I have with speaking. I've showed up to places and been like, "Well, this isn't gonna be good." As a matter of fact, just this weekend,
I was gonna
um
say, spill the tea, Baron.
oh, yeah, yeah, just this weekend, man, and so for anyone that's followed my career or knows anything about me, I people say I'm a bull in a china shop. I don't really
I've
have a lot
literally
of.
been described that exact way.
Yeah, so, yeah, we're kindred spirits for sure, and so I just when I have a truth or when I'm passionate about something, I don't have time for the usual pleasantries of where we just humor people's
Yeah.
personalities, right? Like, one of my things that drives me the most nuts, "Oh, that's just Jim." And
Mhm.
I'm like, well, Jim's got a problem. And you guys keep enabling him by saying that's Jim. Can we just fix Jim or remove Jim from the equation? Because now Jim's whatever personality trait is limiting my ability to have impact. And that drives me nuts. So, I'm very much a very opinionated person, but I will say I get away with it because I'm also very willing to apologize if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I am always willing to listen and consider my viewpoint, but I'm going to say my viewpoint. Then you can challenge it. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to say, "Hey, I was wrong. I'm going to correct that." I'll put something out immediately to say, "You know what? I have new information. Here's where I'm at." So it's worked well for me. But literally just this weekend, I knew what event I was going to, but it was a philosophy event, and I saw the people that were on the list as well, and I was kind of like, well, there's a chance there's going to be a rub here because I know the way they communicate. I know what they're going to say. But you know what, Lord, you had me there. I'm going because that's where I'm supposed to be.
Mhm.
So I'm standing there, and there was a speaker right in front of me, and he spoke for an hour, and then I'm supposed to speak for 2 hours. As he's speaking,
Oh, 2 hours.
I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad. Like, this is gonna be everything he said. I am going to condemn." And it's like already in my presentation. Like he's literally giving me
It's too
exactly the
late. It's too
example.
late.
Yeah. And he happened to be the president of a chiropractic school.
Yeah, that's
So it was just this. I literally got up when it was my time to talk. And of course, he sat front row right in front of me. And I just told him, I said, listen, uh, I'm going with this because I do where God leads me. But I'm telling you right now, buckle up, guys, because I'm going to challenge you in a new way than you've ever been challenged. And I looked right at him and I said, please do not take this as a direct attack on you. God's obviously got something in the works here, so we're going to run with it. And so I did my presentation and I basically just explained why everything that he had just said is the wrong way to look at things. And we have to change in chiropractic the way that we approach problems. And because what we're doing isn't working, we've been stagnant for 25 years. We keep saying we pat ourselves on the back when we get in these small groups and we're saying, yeah, we're great. Really more on the philosophy side of things. Our subluxation guys, I know I agree with them. That's my heart, but we're not growing our tribe. We're just getting tighter in our group, and the rest of the profession is starting to leave, which tells us we're not doing it right. We've got to be willing to change the way we approach this topic about what chiropractic is so that we can organize and come together and actually do some work rather than keep alienating and segmenting, which really happens more from the vitalistic side than it does the mechanistic side. We're the ones that push everybody away because they're not like us. And so that was
I
the
mean,
point
yeah,
of my
I've
talk.
heard so like my journey is I'm a Northwestern grad.
Yep.
And so honestly, when you said that it was a president of the school, I instantly went to more of a rehab, like, oh,
Yeah.
like,
No,
um,
other way.
yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And I chose that school based off geography. I honestly had no idea that
Most
any
students do. Yep.
schools that picking a chiropractic school mattered. Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
would that matter?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until 4 or 5 years into practice, like, what was missing from my education and what was missing from my career. And so one of the things I've really noticed with the podcast setting is being able to talk to people about this divide, and it's so interesting because, like, I wanna be liked. Like, I have a
Sure.
personality that, like, I'm a chameleon, I'm working with my therapist on it, but, like, I just want everyone to like me. And so when people come out and say like, maybe you should have been a physical therapist and not a
Yeah.
chiropractor. Like
Yeah.
my I just like clench up into
You
such
get
a
a
tiny
visceral
ball of like,
response. Yes.
oh,
Yeah.
oh shit. Oh my god, I can't believe you just said that. Like
Yeah.
on kind
100%.
on like kind of I understand. Like so like
Yeah.
I can step back or take the bird's eye view and go like, wow, we have like really, really different definitions, or I
Yeah.
don't know if definition,
Just
practices.
approach, the way you express it is different.
Yeah, like you can look at one clinic that literally their goal is 2 visits,
Mhm.
get you out of pain. They'll say things like, "My job is to put myself out of practice so you don't need me."
Yep.
You know, and like call me when something new comes, and if you don't need me for 3 years, great. And
Yep.
I'm just like, "What?" And then like I'm over here trying to figure out how do I get my it affordable for a family of 6 to be
Mhm.
checked every single week, and like and that's just as the consumer,
Yeah.
a consumer of a product, like, I don't know if there's any other healthcare model that is that diverse.
Yeah, no, there really isn't. And and when I speak a lot, because just to be clear for those listening, I'm not a chiropractor. So I
Hey, I'll cover that in your bio
Oh,
or
okay. All right.
something. Are you a lawyer? That's what you are?
No. I
No.
am I am a
Shit, what
street
are you?
guy.
A
I am
street guy.
just I
I
am.
actually just found this guy in an alley,
I'm
and
a
I was
groupie.
like,
That's 100% accurate. It really is. I took a job back in 1995 and knew nothing about chiropractic, didn't even know it exists, but I had the gift of gab in the town that I was in, and he wanted me to bring in new patients. And I was like, "Tell me what this is, and I'll bring in new patients." And so I was just a con artist, really, that was just doing a job. I had a young child. I was getting ready to get married. I was just at a place in life that I didn't care. I just needed a job, and but as I started learning more about this thing, chiropractic, I got more and more irritated that I didn't know it existed. Like I played football in high school. I had a scholarship to play in college. I blew my knee out, couldn't play. So all of a sudden I'm starting to like, wait a minute, what if I would have been getting adjusted in high school? Would I have prevented my knee injury? Could I still be playing football? All this stuff's going through my mind. I had a young daughter, and as I'm learning with pediatrics, I'm like, oh my gosh, she needs to get adjusted right now. And why didn't we know this? Why wasn't my wife getting adjusted? All these things were going through my head because I'm just an all in kind of guy. When I believe in something, I just am fully committed. So then I just got very, very passionate about telling the world about chiropractic because no one told me. And I didn't want to miss an opportunity to ever not share this with someone that needed it because I felt like someone missed that opportunity with me and I
mhm,
needed it, but no one told me. And so that just started my career. And I've done everything you can do in chiropractic other than legally adjust. So I've just seen it all. But this profession, what makes it so amazing is the very thing that's cursed it, which is the diversity of the people that it calls. And I do
mm,
believe you're called to chiropractic.
yeah,
I think right now
because
people
'cause you're
are
not
choosing
called
it.
for the money.
No, definitely not.
Not coming for the prestige,
No,
the guaranteed income.
no. I mean, there's money to be made without a
Oh,
shadow
yes,
of a
yes,
doubt.
yes, yes, but it's not
But
guaranteed.
it is definitely not show up, punch a card, and go home and make millions. That's not what it is. You
No.
have got to love it. But the diversity in it, and this is where I differ from my like-minded people. So I own a clinic in Columbus, Ohio, and we are very similar to yours. We are a subscription based. Everyone gets adjusted once a week. We're cradle to grave. And but we tell them the whole reason they're getting adjusted is because we need to make sure their body can better adapt to the stress that they experience, the physical, emotional, and chemical stresses, the brain and the body's connection, and its ability to self-heal, self-regulate is very vital, but that has to happen around once every 7 days so that we can break bad patterns in the brain. And so, but we're all cash. All we do is adjust. I'm very philosophical when it comes to what chiropractic is. But I also believe there are 1.5 million different types of people in the world. So I'm okay with there being 1.5 million different types of chiros. I want chiropractors that only want to see PI cases because I don't want to see them, but those people still need to be adjusted. I want people that want to just see workers' comp because I don't want to see them. And so I want them to see them and do it right so I can refer it. Right. So I'm good with people practicing the way they want to practice when it's very different from me because we have a population that really is going to demand the differences. We're never going to get every breathing human being to believe the way I believe. Like no one's been able to do that in the history of the world. So for us to think that we have to develop a profession that has one unique uniting principle is fallacy. It's just never going to happen. But where I do draw the line, and we say this very much in our organization, chiropractic is about adjusting and having the premise that the body is a self-healing, self-regulating organism. And so if you start like removing adjusting from the equation in my mind. It doesn't mean you're not a chiropractor. It just means I'm not going to expand, I'm not going to fight to expand the scope to include drugs and surgery. There are professions that do that already. Our profession doesn't need to do that. I would never do that. If you want to do nutrition, if you want to do laser, those things are great. Just don't call them chiropractic, because that's not you can be a chiropractor that does those things.
Right.
But chiropractic is adjusting, right? That's where the magic is. That's where we really connect with the body. And so I love everybody in the profession, even though they practice differently than we do in our clinic. And I'm okay with it, because I want to refer the people that don't like what we're saying to them, so they're still at least getting something, and it's a more natural form of healthcare. That's the diversity that I think we should be celebrating in chiropractic rather than attacking,
Mhm.
and finding the commonalities that we do have. Like, we all agree, everybody agrees on all sides of the aisle, that chiropractic should be the first line of defense whenever there's a health crisis, minus, bones sticking out of skin. But we're talking about, the average chronic healthcare crisis that our world has. Absolutely, it should start in a chiropractor's office, because we have the knowledge, we have the skill, and we're going to look at a much bigger option of treatment rather than immediately going to drugs and surgery. And so we all agree with that. So why can't we all come together just on that thought process, that we should be the gatekeeper, right? And we should be able to work together to get that accomplished. And that's what we're trying to do within One Chiropractic. We're trying to find those commonalities, bringing people together, organizing them for specific purposes to be able to grow the expression and the utilization and the access to chiropractic around the world.